Hi, I'm Kate Allison, a yoga therapist in Davidson, North Carolina. Today I want to walk you through a simple sequence to help find nervous system balance. This practice may be useful if you have stress, anxiety, and/or PTSD. The only tool you're going to need today is a strap, and most people don't have a yoga strap just hanging around at home. So a scarf, a dish towel, an old t-shirt, that'll do. So you're just going to want to have that close by. So go ahead and grab that and let's get started. So today we're going to start with a little bit of bounding, rebounding. It's just a little bit of bounce, right? So meet your body where you're at. If you're a little tired, maybe it's just kind of a slow, gentle bouncing. If you feel a little more agitated or stressed out, maybe you do some real big movements, big bouncing, and kind of get a little bit of bounce in our arms. Maybe you sort of feel your shoulders bouncing a bit, and your legs. And I'm just shifting my weight from my right foot to my left foot. And we're just bouncing, and this really helps to sort of get the nervous system moving. You start getting some blood flow, some circulation, hydration through the fascia, connective tissue in the body. Just moving a little bit. And then we're gonna slowly sort of ease out of that. So we just sort of phase out of that and come back to stillness. And just after that very subtle, very simple movement, notice any differences in your body. So to notice what you're feeling, what you're aware of, what you can sense. And as you feel ready, whether now or in a few more breaths, we're just gonna start sort of little swings in the arms. My arms are just sort of moving side to side. You can allow your arms to come into contact with your body or to just stay on the outskirts here, the periphery. And as we're doing this, I want you to really be intentional about using your eyes. So really look around you, take it all in. Look behind you, over your shoulders, up into the corners of the room, down into the corners of the room. And this is a practice called orienting. So this allows us to really take in our surroundings. When we think about stress and tension in the body, the sort of reaction, the tension, happens before the affect, before the emotion. So for example, if my doorbell rings in the middle of this video, I'm gonna tense up and stop what I'm doing and notice and orient towards the door, right? And maybe that tension, my physical body, causes me to walk forward or to freeze where I'm at. Even if the doorbell ringing is a good surprise, like a bouquet of flowers, or a negative surprise, the tension happens before the affect, before the emotion. So what we're doing right now is taking in our surroundings. We're letting us sort of notice what's going on and to feel safe in our environment. I'm noticing that my dogs are here sleeping and that they might wake up in this practice. And I'm just sort of taking it all in. So we're gonna slowly sort of phase out in our winding here. My arms are just slowly coming back to neutral until we land at resting. And just notice what you're aware of in your body. Can you feel or sense gravity anywhere in your body? Perhaps you notice an awareness of a heaviness in your hands or in your legs. Just start to sort of take it all in. Notice that. Notice if your breath has changed at all or your heart rate. Just taking in all of this information. Good. As you feel ready, we're going to transition into the shoulders here. So I'm going to choose to sit for this practice. You could sit cross-legged on the floor if that feels accessible in your body. You could also stand, or you could find a seat. So find a comfortable seat or standing, whatever's comfortable for you. And this is where we're gonna sort of need our strap or our yoga band or our scarf in my case, keeping that handy. So go ahead and find that comfortable seat. And And we'll start with just some subtle movements in our shoulders. So you might feel your shoulders come up slowly, maybe a little bit more slowly than you want to, up into our shoulders, up towards our ears, and slowly releasing your shoulders down. Challenge yourself to move a lot more slowly than you want to. And what we're doing in this practice is training our brain and our nervous system for how to relax. So perhaps you link the movement to your breath on an inhale, bringing the shoulders up towards your ears. On an exhale, slowly dropping the shoulders down. Maybe you just let your breath move a little more freely or fluidly, whatever feels right to you. The key part of this practice is to really honor what your body's needing, and to notice that what your body needs may be different than what my body needs, and that's okay. Give yourself permission to honor your body in this practice and to be very intentional, choosing movement or variation that feels right for you. Let this next one be our last as your shoulders come up towards your ears and they slowly drop back down. Notice what it feels like in your body. Being very aware of the sensations in your shoulders. And just noticing what that slow, mindful movement felt like for you. And go ahead and find your strap or your scarf in my case, or a t-shirt or a dish towel. And we're going to take it about shoulder length and maybe slightly wider than our shoulders. And on an inhale, lifting this up, and if you have any sort of rotator cuff injuries or shoulder issues, maybe you bring your arms out in front of you slightly, or bring them in front of your chest if it's too much to lift your arms overhead. But we're gonna ideally sort of bring our arms up here, and then bend the elbows so that we have a slightly like a 90-degree angle or so. And then we're gonna start to try and pull the strap apart. When I work with kids, I call this hulking out, right? Because we're gonna start to try and facilitate these neurogenic tremors that you can maybe see in my arms, maybe you can feel in your body. So these are subtle, tiny little shakes. If you feel any discomfort in your elbows or your shoulders, feel free to come out of this practice. Right? We'll hold it for another 2 or 3 breaths. And after your 2 or 3 breaths, easing back out. Take a moment just to notice where you're aware of energy moving or flowing in the body, what sensations you can feel, any subtle differences. We'll do that 2 more times. So as you feel ready, bringing your arms back up and coming back down. And you can breathe in whatever way feels right for you. You might extend the exhale slightly. You might just feel the rhythm of your inhales and your exhales. Imagine all the stress, any stress you felt from your day or your week, just coming off your shoulders here. And what we're doing with these neurogenic tremors is just giving our body a chance to discharge all the extra adrenaline and cortisol that we've built up, giving it an outlet. And slowly releasing down as you feel ready. Again, take a moment, notice how your body's feeling. As you feel ready, we'll do that one more time. Coming back up, and gently pulling down. Feeling those neurogenic tremors. And these are practices adapted from David Berceli's trauma release exercises, giving our bodies the chance to discharge the extra adrenaline, cortisol, stress. Good. releasing down. Take a moment just to notice what your body feels like. If after a moment of stillness there's any movements like shoulder rolls or wrist movements that would feel right for you, just give yourself the freedom to take those movements. Just moving slowly and mindfully. Staying very aware of what's going on in your body. Good. And we're going to start to make our way down to the mat. So if you're already seated, you might come down into sort of a reclined position, or if you need to move off your chair, we can go ahead and move our chair out of the way over to the side, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. So coming down onto our spine here, and you're going to want to have, just going to move my microphone out of the way here, you want to have enough space so that your legs can extend out. Right? So we're just coming back to this reclined position here, right? And we're going to use our strap again. So you might choose to have your feet started kind of flat on the ground or your legs long, whatever feels right for you. And what we're going to do is sort of a variation on a hamstring stretch. So I'm going to take my strap here and loop it around the ball of my right foot. And I'm going to allow my left leg to go long if that feels right for you. If it's too much, you can always bend your knee. And I'm maybe starting by pulling down slightly more on the right side than the left side, just to flex my foot and open up the fascia, the connective tissues all around the foot. My toes are pointed back towards my knee. And you're just going to sort of slightly bend the knee as you press up through your heel. And what you'll notice as you sort of do this, and you may have to play with it moving to the left or to the right, is that you start to find perhaps some slight tremors here. In the wild, and this is sort of some of the research from Peter Levine, and he was trying to understand how animals in the wild cope with stress and trauma. And so his example was sort of a gazelle running through the jungle or the prairie, whatever word is right for that. And a tiger was chasing her. And if she escaped, she would lie down in the grass and start tremoring and shaking. And this became a very natural way for her body to discharge all of the stress, the cortisol and the adrenaline that had been released in order to escape the tiger. As you can see, Hank the hound here is helping me to release the stress from my body. And if you're not really feeling any tremors or shakes, you might choose to extend your leg out to the right, or extend it over to the left, right? So just sort of playing with it. Sometimes you need to really bend your knee, and sometimes you really need to straighten your leg. The only thing we don't want here is for the knee to be totally locked out, right? We want a little bit of bounce, a little bit of bend in the knee. And what I like to envision is all my stress from the day just flowing out my leg and out into the universe to be recycled, right? Anytime we experience stress, the HPA axis, which is our hypothalamus, to our pituitary gland, to the adrenals, starts to activate and release cortisol, a hormone that helps us handle stress. But when our brain senses cortisol, it tells us to reactivate the system. So sometimes we find ourselves locked in systems of stress and feeling the stress. And what yoga is very, very good at is helping us to cope with that, to interrupt that cycle. There's some really nice research out there that shows that yoga helps to increase GABA, which is a key inhibitor for that stress cycle, which means that when we're stressed, it helps us to release it. And as you'll notice, I'm sort of holding this for a while, right? And while I hold it for a while, my leg starts to go into different shaking, different tremoring. And so just be with where you're at and really sense in your body when your leg feels tired. So you might stay with this a bit longer and pause the video so you can allow that. You might have already stopped. I'm starting to sense and notice that my leg's tired, so I'm gonna bend my knee gently and release my leg down and have both my legs long. If that's too much in your lower back, you can always bend your knees. This moment of pause is really important, just as important as the pose. So can you notice any differences in your right leg than your left leg? What are you aware of? Just really noticing any subtle differences. And as you feel ready, we'll start to move over to that left leg. So finding your strap, and again, looping it around the ball of your left foot. And we go into this left side without any expectation of symmetry. So what you find on your left side might be very different than what you had on your right side. So bending your knee slightly as you press up through your heel. You might start to find that gentle tremor. And if you don't feel the tremor, that's okay too, right? It's just being with your body where you're at. You may need to bend your knee or straighten the leg slightly just to find that subtle tremor. If it feels good or helps with the tremor, you might open your leg to the left. Or if that's too much, just keeping your foot and leg vertical. You could take your leg over to the right. Try and find that tremor and see if you can lean into it. If it's too much, you can always back off. And I invite you to explore your ability to lean into the tremor or to cause it to stop. Very often when we're exercising or going through our day, if we find ourselves shaking or tremoring, we often try and stop it and halt that cycle. But it's actually a very healthy cycle to allow that stress to release from the body. So again, perhaps you invite in the visual of just imagining that stress leaving your leg, coming out through your hamstring, out through the sole of your foot, just exiting back into the universe to be recycled as new energy. Notice if the tremor or the shake is slightly different on this side than the other side. And just noticing. You might become aware of your breath. And I invite you to extend that exhale. Can you notice the rise and fall of your belly or your chest with your breath? Take a few more moments on this side. And again, listen to your body. So if you find that your leg needs to tremor more here, perhaps you pause the video and allow that to happen. If your leg was already tired and you came into rest, wonderful job of listening to your body. I'm starting to notice that my leg feels tired here, so I'm just going to gently bend my knee and allow my left leg to come down to rest next to my right leg. Notice any differences between the two sides. Can you become aware of how your practice is impacting your body? And just noticing. As you feel ready, we're going to come into Supta Baddha Konasana. So the soles of the feet come together, the knees apart. And if that's too much, you can always just keep the knees slightly up here. So just honor what feels right for your body, right? And coming into that stretch, the soles of the feet together, knees apart, we're just going to slowly inch our knees up. On an inhale, bringing your knees up an inch or so and pausing. And you may already start to notice some subtle tremors in the legs here. And then coming back up another inch. And what we're looking for is similar to that stretch is the tremor, the subtle neurogenic tremor that we sort of find here. So you could imagine sort of bringing your knees up inch by inch and just exploring where in your body you feel this. And if at any point it becomes too much, you can always just let your legs go long again. This one's a really nice pose because it accesses our psoas, which is a really key muscle in a fight or flight. Whenever we're stressed out, we need that psoas to activate to either fight off our stressor or to run away from it. But very often our stress happens, for example, when we're sitting at our desk or sitting in the car or having a difficult conversation. And we don't always have the option to run or to fight, which are key movements for discharging that adrenaline and cortisol and that stress from the body. And so we're just allowing it to sort of leave the body here through these tremors so that we don't have to carry all of that extra energy in our arms and our legs. Often when we go into fight or flight, all of our sort of blood flow kind of moves out towards our limbs, to the arms and the legs. Okay, and what we're trying to work on is just helping our nervous system establish balance and coming back to that balanced state. So listen to your body, tune inward. When you notice that your legs are tired, whether that's now or in a few breaths, I invite you to just let your legs go long again. Sliding your legs out. Notice any subtle differences in the body. I invite you to become aware of where you feel energy flowing and movement. You might allow yourself a moment to orient, to look around, just to slowly let your head turn side to side. I'm becoming aware that maybe my dog's barking. So just noticing that. Good. Go ahead and let your arms sort of be long, and if it's too much in your lower back, you could bring your feet to the floor here. Okay, and we're just going to do some cross lateral movements and matching that with our breath, which helps the two sides of our brain communicate really nicely. So allowing your right arm or left arm and right leg just to lift into the air and to slowly come down on the exhale. And then alternating sides, the left leg, the right arm, inhaling up, exhaling down. Moving to your own breath, your own rhythm. Maybe extending the exhale. And being very mindful of your breath and the rhythm of your breath. And doing one more on either side. Good. And then we'll do 3 movements, matching the arms and the legs. So sort of a modified inversion as we inhale, letting the arms come up and the legs come up. As we exhale, letting the arms come down and the legs come down. Notice what muscles you have to use to do this practice, this movement. Notice where you can feel your muscles activating and softening. And then coming into rest. And we'll start to move towards shavasana, final rest. So you might choose to use the chair if you had the chair for legs up the wall, right? Just bringing the chair under your knees here and your legs long. You could also choose to just let your legs stay really long. So take whatever variation feels right for you. I'm going to take legs up the chair. Maybe you let your arms come out to the sides. Palms could be face up or palms could be face down. Just taking whatever's right for you. If it feels comforting, you could choose to close your eyes or you could choose to leave your eyes open. Whatever's right for you. Allow your awareness to rest on your experience of being in your body right now. We're inviting your mind to wander off into a peaceful place. Just let your breath return to normal. Taking a few more moments here. Begin to slowly deepen your breath, deepening the inhales and the exhales. Perhaps you invite a bit of movement to your fingers or toes, or your wrists. If it feels good, you can reach your arms overhead or take a full body stretch. And gently hugging your knees in towards your chest. Slowly curl to one side. Taking a moment just to notice how you're feeling in your body. And when you're ready, pressing into your hands and slowly coming back up to a comfortable seat. Find your palms together at your heart. And just notice any subtle differences. I invite you to take a deep breath in and sigh it out. And if you'd like to, you could join me in closing the practice with one sound of Om. Taking a deep breath in. Om. May all beings be happy and free from suffering. Free from the roots of suffering, beginning with us here today. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. If you've enjoyed this video or others, please make sure to like and subscribe to this page so you can stay up to date on all the latest videos that we're putting out. Thank you.